infer them. And then once we finish that exercise, we look at the bugs that we've decided we need to fix, and we decide how big of a schedule delay the project's going to take based on fixing those bugs. You know, I mean, this is an unappealing option on a number of levels. One is it's like spend the entire weekend locked up with a bunch of people on this already very stress-filled project, right? Two is at the end of the exercise get fired, because basically the project stakeholders had already tolerated a couple schedule slips, and they were really out of patience with schedule slips at that point. So, you know, the clear thing, if we had gone through the exercise I recommended, was that we would come out with a revised schedule, which there's no way that it would be the same as current schedule, and I think the guy knew that, and he would go to the project stakeholders, and the project stakeholders would say, you guys, you know, the project management team have blown it, and they would start to fire people. So, not good solutions. Now, furthermore, one of the things this guy did when he got this information from me is he, of course, immediately ran down to talk to the development managers. Now, the development managers were embarrassed by this, right? Because all of a sudden, here's the project manager running around in their offices going, well, you know, my hair's on fire, you got all these bugs, what are you guys doing? You're not managing the bugs. So they look bad, right? So now they are embarrassed. So yet another mistake here. I have exposed my colleagues, embarrassed my colleagues in a completely unnecessary way, because, you know, I could have alternate reality. When the bug reports got up to, say, about 250 in the backlog, I could have called a meeting, just me and the development managers, and said, look, guys, we have got to get this under control because this thing is going to just explode and kill us. And we could have done it. And then we could have gone to the project management team and said, well, you know, this is what we've done, and this is what's going to happen next. And then, no problem. So, you know, one of the very wise thing that was said to me early on in my career as a manager, Betty Nemi, one of my early managers who taught me a lot about being a manager, she would say, panic early and avoid the rush. And what she meant by that was, you know, if you see trouble, don't just sit around and go, well, I hope something good will happen to make this go away. No. You need to get on top of it. You need to immediately act to resolve the problem. And this is the root of my mistake here, was a failure to gradually but determinedly and effectively escalate the situation so that we did get brought back under control before it got to the situation where it was completely toxic. And make sure that when you deliver bad news, bring solutions, and palatable ones. Now, some test managers and testers say, oh, yeah, you know, I don't think that's really my role. I shouldn't really have to do that. I mean, my job is to provide information. Well, yeah, okay. That's one way of looking at it. Here's an alternative. Most of the time, when we report bad news, the project is going to go forward. The only question is by what path. Now, the next question is, do you want to be influential in the choosing of that path, or do you want to be a bystander? I would suggest that you probably want to be influential. And you will never be more influential in choosing the path by which a bad project recovers than at that moment at which you escalate the fact that the project is in trouble, and then you offer solutions. You know, a drowning man grasps for a life jacket. If you're standing there throwing life jackets into the crowd as you're delivering the bad news, they're probably going to grab your life jacket, assuming that they think it'll work. So if you can present palatable options, you are very likely to be a very influential player in terms of how the project goes forward and how the project succeeds. And I think that is far preferable than trying to preserve some sort of illusion of disinterest in the success or failure of the project, because ultimately it is an illusion. We should be interested in helping the projects on which we work succeed. Okay, now I want to get back to something I was talking about a little bit before. I sort of alluded to this, and I'm going to finish with this point, because This relates to another mistake. Failure to define the mission, the objectives, the goals. What is your job and how are you doing? And I said, you need to do that. Now, I once did that in an organization and was surprised at the variance in the answers. Everybody had different ideas. Everybody had different ideas, first in terms of activities, and even to the extent that there was overlap in the activities, the expectations were quite different in terms of how effective and efficient they expected me to be at that. And that has really been a recurring theme that I've seen going forward as a consultant with clients, that people have widely varying expectations about the test team and what it would mean for the test team to be effective and efficient. And this is a problem. One of the things that I'd like to boil this down to is the filter versus shield problem. Now, properly conceived, testing operations are a filter. They filter out defects, and the filter really, in the true sense, that you catch them, and somebody else has to clean the filter, right? Somebody else has to actually take that thing that you caught, that bug, and fix it and make it go away. Or, alternately, they can take it and throw it downstream, which is what deferring it does, right? So you're a filter. Now, the problem is that sometimes people think of testing teams as a shield, a bug shield. Now, the success criteria for filters and the success criteria for shields are very different. So, effectiveness at stopping things. Let's just look at one of them. A filter, everybody's going to accept, is effective at stopping some kinds of things and not effective at stopping other kinds of things. And a filter, everyone will also accept, has some level of effectiveness, some percentage of things it will catch. And people understand that once you get above a certain percentage of effectiveness, it becomes very difficult to get any higher than that. A shield, though, in order to be a good shield, has to stop everything. You can't stop like 99% of the arrows. It has to stop everything. Now, if people expect you to be a bug shield, an impenetrable bug shield, then you can't succeed. Now, the other thing is this idea of quality assurance versus testing. Now, quality assurance, if we take this word apart, and I don't like to get into these word games, because I think that too many testers, they make themselves sound like beside the point nitpickers when they get all bound up about words. But some words have implications, and I think quality assurance is one of them. We can't really assure quality. Putting something on a scale doesn't change what it weighs. Similarly, running something through a set of tests does not change its quality. It simply measures it. It evaluates it. I think there's some danger in letting people get this sense that we're a quality assurance group if we can't actually affect the process upstream in ways that actually do assure quality. So the bottom line here is that if people have widely differing ideas about what your team can do, then you can't succeed. You just won't, because you're serving too many different masters. Or if everybody has the same idea about what your team can do and it sets the bar too high, like 100% defect detection effectiveness, as an example, then you can't succeed. So you need to, as I mentioned in my discussion about that chapter, Beautiful Testing, you need to have defined success criteria, defined metrics, and you need to measure against that, and if to the extent that you're not succeeding, improve, and to the extent that you are succeeding, make sure that people understand that if you're achieving the targets, then make sure that you make people aware of the fact that you are achieving your targets. Now, how do you do this? Well,